motherfuckers? Welcome back to Pics or It Didn't Happen. I am Fats King. I am always joined by my brother, the Yeti.
What up, y'all?
So such velvety smoothness sometimes. Yeah. All right, they're asleep now.
They are.
And I'd like to throw it to a special guest. I've only ever spoke to you in person one, maybe two times, but I've been listening to your music a lot since our conversation at camp, and I'm so fucking glad you're here. You want to say what's up, Donnie?
Yeah, man, what's good? Donnie Menace, LSP, Nightbreed. Awesome introduction already, man. Was good.
Fuck, I wasn't even trying. Okay, so the first and foremost, before we go any further, I just want to say the number one thing we're going to talk about in this interview, for real, is maybe just a meat of it is everybody thinks that there's only two camps, and you guys, Team She, you guys specifically, LLE and a bunch of other companies are showing that there is so much more open room in this than people think there is, and
right.
now that there's never been a better time to take your fucking shot. So first and foremost, L's up. Kudos to you fucking guys. I'm such a fucking fan of the whole label. I have been for a hot minute since I think when I heard Scum years ago at the 08 gathering.
Okay.
But you go in a different direction, and we'll get to that. But first and foremost, as I said before, this is become a quick, easy question to get out of the way. How long have you been, or how did you discover horrorcore, ICP, Juggalo shit? The overall tent that we all kind of hang out underneath.
How's come you like scary movies?
That was a good one too.
What up? All right, so it kind of all just like fell into place, to be transparent. Like my uncle was a drummer for my uncle was a hip-hop head, but he was also a drummer for a metal band when I was growing up. So when he wasn't practicing his band shit, he was either listening to metal or practicing to it, or he was practicing to rap. So like even when I was little, I was always listening to like shit. And it could be one day I could be listening to Heavy D, another minute I could be listening to Halloween or some shit because of my uncle. You know what I'm saying? So I always had like that balance, and I always was kind of drawn to darker shit. Like I remember like my uncle used to listen to like Alice Cooper and shit, and I used to always love the imagery. It used to scare the shit out of me when I was little, but it still eventually grew into a thing with me. I remember I was always a hip hop head growing up. So with that being said, with rap, I always kind of was drawn to the more darker shit. One of the first like really, really dark exposures I had were two things. One of them was Busta Rhymes' first album, The Coming, just with that really grim intro, like scared the shit out of me first time I heard that. I was like, 6 years old when I had that CD. And then that album really got me open. And then DMX's first album, It's Dark and Hell is Hot, because you had X is Coming For You and a few joints on there. Now,
he is earlier shit. You could touch it. You could definitely see that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he definitely isn't horrorcore, but like these were just some of my first exposures to elements of it. Now, amongst this timeline, because that album dropped to like 98, 99, I think. I want to say, because I was living in Connecticut at the time, I remember being like 10, 11 years old and seeing the Great Malenko commercial late at night on fucking TV, but not knowing who the fuck these guys were. Just remember who are these crazy ass two white dudes with dreads rapping over rock beats and shit, like they sound dope. So like but I was already listening to the music. I started getting into wrestling again. Fast forward about a year and a half later, they pop up with the oddities, and I seen it was just like that meme of fucking of dude from Wolf of Wall Street, where he's just pointing at the TV like that's the guy. And that's how I was when I seen him pop up, and then that made me grab Malenko. And with me already liking a lot of the shit I was into, I just fell in love with it. So like I always kind of had a balance of growing up listening to both my whole time, even before I got gatewayed into it. So it just kind of fell into place along the line, you know. And then after that, maybe start looking up shit on the internet. I discovered the term horrorcore, which in return, I found the Flatliners, started finding all the shit on horrorcore.com and everything else, you know?
Yep. I fuck with the Flatliners hard. That's
my favorite right there. Peace to them.
That's a deep cut right there. Okay. So that's deep. I was not expecting you to have had that much credit on this side of shit. But what was people's first reactions like when you said I'm gonna be a rapper? Like how did this, like your teachers, your friends, your family, like I'm sure that this was not a fun conversation in the beginnings.
It was just one of those things. I just started doing it. I didn't really like tell anyone I was going to. I had a karaoke machine when I was a kid. with my uncle being a drummer and everything, he also used to have a lot of like musicians he knew that would use my fucking karaoke machine, where I just started like, I didn't realize what I was doing was freestyling, but I used to steal a lot of his tapes and fucking just try to rap over the fucking instrumentals on the B-sides. So it kind of just was always there. I told people I wanted to rap when I was like 13. And like some of my family wasn't crazy about it, but they knew like I was going to keep doing it regardless. Like I still did what I could with school and all that. Like I graduated high school at least. I even tried going to college for a minute. I ended up just getting the shit out of it that I needed. Stop it, to be honest with you. But it was somewhere like it was kind of like a split decision, like in terms of reaction I had, I would say.
You know, you
So,
mentioned college, and that you just sort of took what you needed from it. That I think is a lesson that everybody should learn. You know, you get what you can from it, because a lot of it doesn't make any sense, and it's a lot of money. Even while I was in school, I remember there'd be people like, well, it's not so much about what the classes, it's all the networking and the connections you make. And I just thought that was the stupidest shit ever, to spend all that money. Be there, figure out what you can use, and get the hell out of there, because you don't want to be about $50,000 in debt.
Nah, word up. Like, and I won't ever knock someone trying to further their education or anything like that. But I will say, if you are going to go, just know that you have a reason to go. Don't just go because somebody's telling you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's my whole thing.
Yeah.
Not because it's the thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I remember when I was first trying to figure all that out, I was just going and taking classes because other people were saying, well, you should do this because it's useful. Well, I hated those things. And guess what?
That's
I
where
never
was
finished
at.
them.
Yeah, because I was just taking general shit at first, which I didn't mind. But then once it started coming towards, we got to start getting the other credits, I really didn't know what the fuck else I wanted to do. I was just starting to take classes to keep insurance at one point, type shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
Did you use any of the classes you took to further the musical interest? That's cool. That's what I was getting right at.
Yeah, I was going for audio.
Oh, okay.
So you as well. So do you make your own beats or anything like that? Is that what you do?
All right. So it's funny. I started out making a lot of my own. I've never 100% did it. When I first started, like my first two records, Wrath of a Menace and The Threat, I produced I produced half the beats on Wrath, and I produced a few on The Threat. After that, once those records came out, producers started sending me beats and I got lazy. I stopped doing it for a while, and then, which we'll get into later in this conversation, with my current record situation, certain things forced me to basically get back into producing again, on top of me just wanting to start again. And since this last couple of years, yes, I have been starting to produce more beats and everything, and I will be doing a lot more self-producing than I used to.
That's gonna. I mean, everybody already knows it. I'm gonna say it. It's dumb to say it, but I'll say it anyway. It's gonna give you a leg up above a lot of other people, because you have that ability to just, not only can you can see the track in all facets of it, from the beginning to the end. You know what I mean? From the instrumentals, the vocals, the shit you put in between. You get to be the person who designs all of that, and instead of worrying about too many chefs in the soup.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny, where we've had a few situations like that recently, where it's like there's just too many heads arguing over things, where just slowed down creative processes. So it's just, you know what I'm saying? Like, we've had that interference a few times, and just that's why me and even my crew Nightbreed, like, we've really swore to like try to do things as in-house as possible for that reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Now so we were in college. We took what we needed from it. What was the next step for you? What was the way you really solidified that this is your career now?
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. And it's and at the same time, I take accountability for this, because I feel like this also kind of has been a somewhat hindering to my progress. But I would say I kind of just ran off blind faith and just was chasing anything I could find to get involved in. Like, during that period, I was involved in the battle rap shit. I was doing a lot of stuff locally because by this time I was already living in Las Vegas, and I moved out of Connecticut. And so I was building my name up, trying to do anything I could locally. I was doing the battle shit for a minute, working with anybody I could that I was building with on the internet, because I was even working with this internet label at the time called Gold Minded Records. Producer, if you're familiar with them, his name is Clive Craven. He used to run this back in the day, and I was under him at one point. Things just kind of disbanded over time, just because miscommunications and whatnot. Nothing bad, just everybody eventually started doing their own things. But it was just kind of any opportunity or situation where I could put myself into something, I was doing it. But I also had a few things that I also had a couple of legal issues that kind of got in the way of some shit a couple of times, to be transparent. So
it happens.
This last, I would say, in all honesty, from like 2013, even though I've been doing this for a minute, was almost like a restart. Like 2012, 2013 and on was almost like a restart, because a lot of shit was just local ground building and then doing the battle shit. And I had to redirect a lot of things, because at a period of time when I was doing the battle rap shit, especially during from like 2009 up to about, I want to say, I forget what year it was I stopped, but I started because originally when I got into battling, it was to push my music, because I saw people like Immortal Technique and a lot of them doing it. It's like they battled and did that to push the music. But I didn't realize when I was doing it, I was right smack dead in the middle of an evolution of that culture, because this was all the acapella shit. And it started turning into this thing where a lot of people that watch battles didn't even fucking listen to rap music. They was just watching the battles. So I'm over here getting all these views on these battles and shit. And a lot of the commenters, I'm posting music. Oh, but when's your next battle dropping? This and that. And I post a record. Motherfuckers from the battle scene are messaging me, oh, can I just get the album for free and all this other wild shit, like show with no respect to the art form. And it just drew me away from it. And I had to really recalibrate everything and just focus 100% on music. So like there was a lot of ins and outs, but that's why a lot of people that are just now new to me are surprised that I've been working as long as I have, because I had a lot of trial and error to lead to me starting to finally really start putting myself on a platform to get seen and heard more, you know?
Absolutely. That's a pretty common pitfall, especially when you're starting, something new and trying to build things. There's going to be a lot of people, some with your best interest in mind, some that don't. And there's going to be a lot of shiny things that are off in the distance. Like, well, that's kind of like what I'm doing. Let's just try that. And, like you were saying, you sort of recalibrated, reset, and came back. And I think that's, a lot of people never do that. And then they end up just going in circles and not really getting anything done because they can't keep any kind of focus.
Oh yeah, and they say insanity's doing the same shit over and over again and expecting different results. And that was something I had to take a step back and look at,
Absolutely.
With the battle thing, there's two things I want to touch on. Do you feel like, as the fact that you've done basically competitive MC shit, when someone wants to step to you with a diss track, do you feel like they've already fucked up in the sense that like you're a fighter with your words, basically?
It's one of those things where it's like I'm very selective about who I even direct my energy towards these days. So it's like, even if somebody did have in my opinion, the audacity or balls to do that shit, they got to even be worth me fucking responding to. Because like if it's garbage or like it's, what I'm saying, like it's just one of those things where just, especially with me coming from the cloth I'm cut from, and a lot of the people I still interact and build with from that, because a lot of the shooters over there I'm friends with, like, and a lot like that people don't even know I know type shit. And it's just looking at a lot of the perspective, it's just like it has to make sense for me to even be worth it. Because I know there are some people that'll be like, oh, we used to be a battle, so let me try to get up off them. You know what I'm saying? It's anybody that does that shit realistically in the culture, we all do it for the sake of the art. All that shit you see everybody woofing on camera and all that, that's something these channels started making us all do to make it all fucking wrestling like. We
absolutely. I see that shit, and you were not wrong. It's everybody wants to bite from the MMA world or the boxing world or the wrestling world to make these competitions seem more violent than they are, or that like you guys might go fucking actually fight in the parking lot after it's over for some shit y'all done said or something.
Oh yeah, now given some of them are very entertaining, those pre-battle meetups. Like, I'm not sure if you follow Cassidy at all, but whenever he does his pre-battle shit talks with his opponents, he gets his opponents so mad. Half the time they get up and leave the chair and walk away, trying to threaten him. Like, it's the funniest shit ever. Like the first one he did, because it was him and this other dude, Arsenal. They're like very known for being disrespectful. It literally just turned into a contest of them just screaming at each other about who can make the other person's females in their family suck the most dicks. Like, he was like, I'll make your auntie suck my dick. I'll make her suck my nigga's dick up the street. Like, they were just screaming this at each other. Like, it's the funniest thing ever.
That's some good shit. I'm gonna have to YouTube that when we're done with this one. But do you think you'll ever go back to that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I mean to cut you off. I didn't realize.
I was trailing off on my thoughts. I do that sometimes when I get high. basically what I was saying was, so do you think, like you said, do you think you'll ever go back to that? Like, do you think it's a part of the world you even need to be involved in anymore?
I will sincerely say I'm still a heavy supporter, spectator. I still actually help people get involved in some leagues. Um, I won't take credit or drop anybody's names, but I have brought a couple of people over to into iBattle that have eventually started fucking with URL and King of the Dot and shit. But I still help with talent scouting. I help with events. In order for me to get back in the ring, would I like to one day? Yes, but it needs to make sense. Like I have a lot of things amongst myself that I feel I need to achieve before that's even a thought right now, you know?
Okay. So did you start off trying to do horrorcore, or did you start off trying to do just regular hip hop?
How
Like,
can I put this? I was already rapping wild shit before I knew what the fuck horrorcore was. It's kind of because of my taste and things I was into. And that's what I mean by a lot of shit fell into place when I started discovering a lot of the shit I did over time. You know what I mean? So like it was always ripping the heads off and cutting bodies up just because I used to play violent ass video. I'm straight 90s kid, you know what I'm saying? So like it was always crazy shit like that. And so yeah, I guess you would say that it's always been that for the most part. Like if it wasn't violent shit, it was funny shit. Like that's always been my steez.
I mean, and that's both the facets of horrorcore, whimsical and evil.
Mm-hmm.
So you figured out who you was. What were your early shows like? Like, was you getting reception quick? Did you have to really hustle selling tickets and shit like a lot of locals have to do, or do people see the gift real quick?
Oh no, I've been eating shit for years. My first shows, when I was let's see, because I've been rocking since I was a teenager. Like my first performance I ever did, I was 17 or 18, and I opened the Tombstone Territory in Hartford, Connecticut. I had no idea. Wait, no, that was my second show. That was my first big show. My first show was with with a group I used to do a lot of work with, Modify Psi. It was at this place called the Puppet House Theater in Brantford, Connecticut. That was like a small local event, but I did get a good reception there. But my first big show, yeah, it was selling tickets the whole nine and all that. That show was rough because that was my first time trying to get a hype man. We practiced our set. We thought we was ready. We walk up there. This motherfucker froze the moment the beat dropped. And literally just standing there. And I'm like a statue and shit. And I'm just like, yo, what are you doing? And eventually I'm like, yo, just walk off if you're not going to hold me down. So I'm up there rocking and everything. And I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Fury. He was in that group Something Awful with King Gordy. He works out in Connecticut, does some Lethal Records and all that shit.
I think I know who you're talking about because I know Gordy.
Yeah, but Fury was playing that show with me too. And he knew me from that previous show and just us talking a couple of times, and he knew a couple of my tracks from MySpace. So the ones he knew, he ran up there and just covered my ass on. But like, yeah, that was rough. The crowd, even though I sucked balls up there. I had a box of CDs that I still ended up clearing. So like, I always knew there was something there. It was just a case of trying to figure out a way to make it work. You know what I mean?
All right. This is going to be a dumb question, but I'm asking it anyway because I'm not a rapper, so I don't know. What is the difference between having the hype man and not having the hype man? Because I see some people who feel like they rely on the hype man because they don't know their own shit, and then I see other people who like, well, for a perfect example, we watched Blaze Dead Homie on Friday, and he wasn't with Big Van Dustin, so he didn't have his usual hype man, but he still kept his win. He still knew what he was doing. So yeah, I guess again, my question is, what's the point, because that sounds cynical, but explain why it's good or bad. I guess there's a good way of looking at it.
For the longest, it was, well, here's the main reason why a lot of people use it, because I've been one for the longest. A lot of us, especially like your artists that do a lot of more faster shit or like a lot of chopping or things along those lines, we'll record it, no problem. But when you add into the mixture, running around on stage, jumping up and down, the whole nine, sometimes you can't nail it the way you normally did. And that's usually what the hype man is for, is to cover those spots. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's why you always see the guy up there and they'll say just like the last word, because they're covering spots so that dude can breathe. Because normally they would be able to breathe, but you add all the dancing and everything else to it. Sometimes that shit will whoop your ass, And so and then also then you have other artists who just don't take performing their songs into consideration whatsoever, and they fucking punch in every 2 bars where you, even if you pay attention to the songs, you literally will hear their words overlap each other. So because of that shit, they can't rap it live. So they'll have a person on there to cover those spots that normally would overlap to make it sound good on stage, because otherwise it's dog shit if they try to do it live, you know?
Yeah.
So it's one of the two, and then it's usually one of the two or a combination of both. And then also you consider it's a good dynamic as well, because it allows, when you got a one person, like there's very few people that can keep it interesting on stage by themselves. Like this is one of the things where I give anybody killer like the utmost respect, because he has been an amazing one-man show for over a decade, and I feel he does not get his roses enough for that at all. Like ABK
puts on a great show.
He is one of the best like solo performers I've ever seen, in my opinion. And that's not me kissing ass or anything. That's being sincere, like an artist talking about an artist. He knows how to keep energy and keep it interesting, because there's a lot of dudes, they'll get up there and it's just holding the mic, rapping, moving their hand around, doing the night dance. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't keep it intriguing enough.
Yeah. And in this specific genre, you need a bit more pageantry. I know that might not be the right word to use, but you need more oomph. You need more oomph than just you standing there moving to the beat. Well, you got to make me feel your fucking music if you want me to give you something back.
You mentioned Killa being able to perform on his own and be able to keep that stage entertaining. To me, and it's became painfully obvious in recent history here, with the changes that were made over at Strange Music, one of the greatest hype man teams, Chris Calico supporting Tech Nine, he absolutely elevated Tech's show, and people have said they can notice his shows, they're not what they used to be because he doesn't have Chris on the stage. Now, what is there anybody like, what's your favorite hype man main artist combo that you've seen or that you know of?
God damn, that's a good fucking question.
All right. So before I get to that, I want to respond to that Tech Nine thing. Here's the reason why I feel like it's such a harsh like punch seeing Tech by himself without Chris now, because Chris basically is on almost every song Tech did for the last 10 years. All the choruses. So it's like, you used to be able to see them choruses perform live. Now it's just Tech standing there and he's just, getting the crowd to go along with it. Or they got like, that's probably what's the harshest blow right now out of everything, because that was that contributed to Tech's show is seeing a lot of those hooks being performed live. But other than that, Tech's still getting busy. Like I feel if he still continues to build a new catalog of music that has less of him on it, to develop a new performance where that's less crucial to it, it's going to be a new, you know what I'm saying? Like that's when it's going to start being the norm. It's just right now it's different because a lot of his shit Chris is on, That
actually makes a lot of sense. I didn't consider that when thinking about that stage show, how much, when you're putting together that track list, he's on all of them. So I get that could definitely be a problem.
But there's always going to be old heads that are always going to fiend for the old days. That's just how it works.
Yeah. Trust, because even with Chris and Cut, with Chris and Tech, I still prefer Chris Cut and Tech together. I prefer
that was a combo that was something whole nother. Didn't nobody bring a stage performance like those three at that time.
Legit.
If you got to see those shows, that was something fucking special. Like you guys were talking about how it felt like that something has been lost when Calico stepped away. I believe the same energy was completely fucking decimated, as you said, when Cut stepped away. But that's a whole thing with Tech. But
because it was like the choreography was a huge thing with the performances. Like it was the only people that did choreography like them was fucking Big Daddy Kane and his two hype men back in the day. That was the only thing that came close to that shit. And Tech and Chris, they still did choreography and it looked in sync. But the three dudes doing it up there is what made it look raw. You know what I'm saying? It almost looked like the old school R&B groups and shit,
Juggling the mic and shit, man. Yeah. Those were the days. So the second question. So who was your favorite duo?
I feel like Red and Meth don't get the props they deserve in terms of duo on stage.
Fuck.
Hands fucking down. I've watched them 3 times now. I've seen them at 2 different full-size venues, and I've seen them like play a straight up nightclub. Tore all 3 of them bitches down, no problem. And
I've yet to be able to see Meth and Red live because they got fucked over at a gathering and will never come back. So I won't get that.
Dude,
Fuck
that crushed me so bad when that happened. Because I'm like, how with them of all people, I never understood. Some of the other groups that have caught the business, I get, but them, like, come on, man.
That's royalty right there. And we'll talk about East Coast hip hop. We'll get to that in a second because I do want to talk to you about that a big minute. But so the only other person who's been in the East Coast horrorcore scene that I've talked to besides you now is the homie Mad Max. And he was one of the men who told me specifically that I needed to speak with you. So kudos to the homie Max. We love you. That's my favorite Jew. That's my favorite Jew. But anyway, so what is the East Coast horrorcore scene like? Like, because like we grew up like I throw these words around, but I'll say it anyway. We kind of grew up in like a mecca of the situation where like everything comes straight down from Detroit to Indiana to Michigan to Indiana to Kentucky, Ohio, the whole little Midwest wasteland we all live in.
We're the homeland, my friend.
That's what he means. So what was it like on the other side, like that close to New York and shit, as far as like the horrorcore scene is concerned?
See, I can only give you perspective from 2004 up to about maybe 2012, because I live in Vegas now, and I travel back and forth. But for that period of time, it's rough in the East Coast in general with just doing that type of music, because like we're right next to New York. New York sets the tone for everything as it is. So like a lot of just the horror shit in general, just unless you're nice and you have other shit, like I'll put it this way, like you got to be a chameleon out in the East Coast in order to really build any type of foundation. Because like if you're just a one-trick pony out there, you're not going to do very well, because especially when you start if you're trying to build in the local scenes and all that, because if people see just see it as straight gimmicky, you're not going to fuck with it, you know what I mean? So it's like a lot of us, myself, you had Mr. Freeze, you had fucking Fury, you had the group Modify Side, you had DRK, you had them, at least for us doing of course, and you had Cryptic as well. A lot of us, we were all doing the horrorcore shit, but all of us were like still spitters at the same time. Like we could still go and open up a 50 Cent show at the time, and even though we're rapping crazy shit, we still could command a fucking audience, Like that's the one thing I would say about a lot of East Coast artists, is because of the fact that, especially like in the outskirt areas like Connecticut, New Hampshire, like Mass, all of them, we're all because of the fact that it's almost like we're compressed, because we're trying to still break the seal and get heard a lot more. When we do finally get seen or heard, everyone's like, what the fuck? And it's like, dude, we're like this because we got to do everything we can to get seen or heard. So we're showing our ass anytime we're out there, So it's a lot of us, we get along. It's a lot of friendly competition, but it's definitely where that's one of the reasons why I moved up out of the state, was just I had to start reaching out other places, because a lot of people don't think beyond where they are also, and that's a huge issue with just a lot of local scenes in general. So
you're not fucking wrong with that. People get comfortable and complacent just being able to pulling like 30 or 40 people a show from their area and not going anywhere else.
Yeah. So I mean, the scene itself, it's crazy, because we were building something dope up out there for a minute, and we were playing a lot at this place called the Webster Theater. Like I was even flying from Vegas out there to do shows and shit at one point, just to still continue building. And the guy that was arranging, the guy that owned the venue that we were playing at, his name was Ben Wu. He disappeared on a vacation, and come to find out he died because he fell off a fucking cliff.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And when he passed away, the venue went up in limbo and got bought out by Live Nation. And when it got,
fuck them guys.
You know what happened.
That's done.
Yep.
Yeah. And then kind of when that happened, everybody started scrambling, trying to find their own ways to still keep things moving. And when that happened, a lot of the foundation that was built within kind of got lost, because people started venturing other ways to still keep afloat,
Right.
Absolutely. It's cool that you had said that, because the skill level is so deep where you're at. Motherfuckers can't get away with just rhyming dead and head 15 times. You've gotta really be able to fucking spit to be able to exist in the scene you guys are in. And I think that makes you guys soldiers as far as your ability to perform in that kind of environment, because it's hardening, because you know you have this one thing you want to do that you feel like you're good at, but you've got to tighten every facet of your game to keep everybody around you from either surpassing you or looking down on you.
And to add on to that, I do want, I don't know, because I haven't been to the East Coast, you know, we grew up in the Midwest.
Yeah.
When you were starting up doing these shows, being so close to New York and, you know, sort of the roots of where a lot of this stuff started, does it make it hard when you trying to, you know, do shows with other acts that are maybe more traditional in the East Coast style? Because I know a lot of times when we have shows out here, you won't find any of that crossover, because it's kind of a hard line that, you know, this is hip hop and you guys are not.
Yeah, there is kind of a stigma that way.
There is a stigma for sure, but it depends on the groups and who's doing what. Because I want to say a lot of the people I even mentioned, although we are definitely been coined and more into the wicked shit horrorcore side of things, we all still are more like, we still have our sound to a lot of our shit still converts over. And it's always been one of those things where we'll start out and motherfuckers will look at us crazy, but like one song in, they're fucking with it. You know, like we've had the luck of the draw, and I know a lot of people aren't always that lucky. And I'm thankful as fuck to know that I've even been on the good side of that. Don't get me wrong, I've caught the L a couple of times doing like playing in front of crowds where it's like, even with me getting busy the way I do it, they just were not fucking with it because of the content itself, you know. But we've definitely ran into that when we've tried, whenever we stepped out of our norm. Even out here out west in Vegas, like sometimes that will occur. But to be honest with you, I don't fucking care. It's one of those things where a lot of times, a lot of the people that say they don't like the shit are sitting there still bobbing their head. They just don't want to be seen at the doing it. So I'll go walk over to the table and still sell a couple of shirts and CDs and shit. So I'm like, you know, somebody's still fucking with it, you know?
Right. I mean, being so close to that culture, you know, I think that gives the fans, you know, just a little bit more knowledge of what hip hop actually is, where we sort of get it secondhand. And our base is more in, really, if you look at the Midwest and the artists it typically produces, it's more of the creative kind of cartoony type bands that have a huge gimmick, you know, Alice Cooper, the Clowns, Kiss, like it's all about the theatrics rather than the deep
skill
history of what it's. Yeah, I mean, they still have skill, but there are levels to that.
Yes,
but they lean on the theatrics a lot more.
Yes.
Oh yeah, the Midwest definitely has a lot more theatrical based artists, but to be honest, that's one of the reasons why I admire the Midwest as much as I do, because I love the creativity in that. It's not just some fucking guy on stage playing music. I love that whole get down. That was a huge contribution to even what led to me adding on to this whole fucking get up and shit. But that's the thing, is just, if you're going to do, a lot of people that, how can I describe this? Even a lot of the theatrical artists that were just mentioned still sound good and they're dope overall, you know.
Yeah,
there are some people, and this is just in any genre of music overall, because even like, I'll put it this way, a lot of the crowds in the East, they might look at you crazy at first, but as long as you're getting busy, they're going to like you. That's my experience. And I've seen people, and it doesn't matter what type of music you do. I've seen people that walk up there screaming real hip hop and they still fucking sucked and have people walk out on them. So it's like, as long as your shit connects, you're fine, you know?
Yeah. It's all a crossover of energy between the crowd and the artist. That's really cool. So we've seen how you moved from the East Coast, and you now came to Las Vegas. Now I don't know anything, and I've not talked to anybody from the Las Vegas area about what our music scene looks out there. So I'm imagining you're probably paving ways, because there's not a lot out there.
I wouldn't say there is a lot out here. It just doesn't. The problem is, a lot of it is that what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, and what the reason for that is, there's a lot of, because of the fact that the city is, first and foremost, from outside perspective, a lot of people don't even realize, like, people think motherfuckers live in hotels out here. And it's you know what I'm saying? Like, you got that in the mix. And then you also, Las Vegas itself is, even though it's a part of Nevada, it's a beast of its own. And the problem is what happened, you have a lot of talented people out here. The problem, just what I've noticed over the years, though, is that every time a foundation for something gets built, somehow it gets taken away. Like, whether it's a venue, there's a culture building, there's always something that just like, nah, fuck this. And just the whole rug gets swept under, and it just gets pulled out. And no one, I can't explain it. It just, something jinxes it. And I feel like it literally hurts a lot of the dope shit that's out there. And so even with venues right now, like gentrification put dick all up in a lot of the mom and pop venues that are out here. And because of that, a lot of the tourist-based places are what's taken over, and they only will book mainly household shit. You even try to break, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't, there's only like maybe like 2 dive bars out here that will do live music, and one's literally called the Dive Bar. Shout out to it. But even them, it's still like they're very picky and choosy about what rap shows they want to pick in there. A lot of stuff is very selective, and so it's hard for people to get hurt out here.
Yeah, I would say, you know, with everything that Vegas has going on, that kind of creates competition. You know, if you guys got a show and then there's everybody else is like, hey, it's Vegas, we're gonna make a name because there's
strippers and coke.
I mean, strippers, coke, Britney Spears doing like a 5-year residency.
Nobody cares about that. Nobody cares about that bitch. They want lines on stripper ass.
Yeah, well, they all say that, but she gets like half naked on stage, and they're like, wouldn't it be so funny if like we just went and then you're going with your girlfriend, because it's just funny.
While you're cleaning the blow off your gums.
Yeah, because it's but it's because like
I don't like cocaine. I really don't. It's such a stupid drug. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's literally just there to make you talk forever. I feel it, man. But nah, it's but no. So it, like, we had, and another huge thing that's a punch in the dick to a lot of stuff out here is almost every venue's 21 plus. So because of that alone, motherfuckers, a lot of younger people that would, you know, not even necessarily, I want to say not even necessarily say younger, but like people like even college age, like 18, 19 and so forth, even like that age group, by the time the artists that they want to see live, even fucking, they're old enough to see them, they don't even listen to them no more, because like 4 or 5 years passed, you know what I'm saying? And they're already on to different shit. So it's weird, like, you to even market yourself to pull crowds. I'm lucky and thankful I pulled off a lot of the shit I have out here, to be transparent, because it's weird, man. Like, you see, you got Echo from out here doing this thing, man. Me and Echo, I've known him for close to a decade. Fucking
Echo's been blowing up.
Yeah, man, he's been killing it for years, dude. Like, we got a lot of dope artists out here, though, man. Fucking, I'm not to throw shit at anybody, just this is my interview, so like that's the only name I'm dropping.
Absolutely. If you know them, cats, tell them to give us a message. We'll interview any fucking buddy.
Yeah,
but so you made enough. You've been making enough noise so far that you landed on the radar of one of the more major names in the scene. How did you get introduced to LSP? How did this start? This partnership?
Yo, this was one of those things where I can't describe. A lot of my just existence has just been, I don't know if it's been just destiny or right place at the right time type shit, but like this all started back in like 2008 or 9. This was when fucking Insane Poetry was still doing GRE with fucking JP the Hustler. He was on tour. Psycho was on tour with, and Scum. They were both on tour with Twisted Insane and Doomsday Productions. And I went down to the Vegas date because I knew the venue owner. Plus, I was a huge fan of fucking Doomsday Productions, and I've been wanting to see Psycho. And I also was a huge fan of Twisted Insane. Well, I still am a fan of Twisted Insane. But you know, there's people I enjoyed the music of on the bill. I heard Scum, but I haven't heard his shit yet, and I wanted to check him out. So I went down there. Come to find out, the venues got switched, and so I tried to hunt down where the show was. I ended up fucking catching like the ass end of it. And so I bumped into Psycho. I was selling bud at the time. So I ended up just selling him a sack, which led to me kicking it with him, meeting Scum and everybody else. And I slid him a copy of The Threat, which was my mixtape at the time. That got past the Scum. Everybody in the van loved it, apparently, from what I remember. So I had a relationship with Scum, or like we already knew who each other were, like, but we didn't really talk that much yet. But me and Psycho, we kept in touch ever since. like I've literally known Cycle now since like 2008. Now I think about it, it's fucking crazy. But so me and Cycle always kept in touch, and eventually he ended up signing with LSP and everything, and he hit me and told me about Gorefest. This was like 2013, 2014, I think, when this was my first one. And so I went out there and I did that one Gorefest. I thought I did terrible, but apparently I did something right because Scum was fucking with it and half the crowd still was. And so I started moving around, just meeting people and shit. Me and Scum kept in touch from there. He comes around from one of the Twisted tours, the Welcome to Hell tour with Twisted, I believe, and plays LBCS, which was our home base venue at the time. One of the many places that just got killed off after an amazing run. Gentrification is what fucked that one up. But so anyway, so he comes out there, we start talking more and more. He's been trying to get me on LSP for a minute, but we've always worked in together. And eventually it was just one day I was like, you know what, fuck it, let's give it a shot. And here we are.
Now, as I said in the beginning, I was waiting to get back to this, but everybody is they only know two sets of initials. You know what I mean? They know ICP or PSY, and they know M&E.
Right.
But you guys are doing something that is so crucial and important to this scene that people, I feel like it doesn't get stated enough, because with this infighting, with the way things are going, it is turning people the fuck away from this shit we all love. People don't want to fucking go to shows anymore because they don't want to get yelled at for wearing a fucking t-shirt. You know what I mean? And that's on both sides. I'm not saying that it's not equal. I'm not saying it's not equal on both sides, because it absolutely is that way. There's dickheads everywhere.
Not even just that. People are just tired of just trying to stand there, watch a concert, and then they get punched in the face by accident because a fight broke out right next to them. Not saying that given fights always have happened at shows in the first place, but but the magnitude of them has definitely increased because of this shit, you know?
Yeah. So I just, like I said, I just wanted to give you guys such a huge shout out for doing that. And what does that feel like to know that you're basically on the ground floor of this? You guys, Team She, LLE, there's other names I could name, but they're escaping me at this moment. But those are the three that really stick out right out of the top of my head.
Yeah, it's it feels good, man. It's one of those things where it's all we can do is just keep working and hope for the best, because at the end of the day, like, we can't control what's going on in front of us, and given a lot of us became what we are because we just got love for the culture itself and we're fans of it. But it's like,
we all do this for love.
Yeah,
we all do this for love. Money it's part of it, but it's barely part of it, because we all know there ain't a lot.
I can say for myself, like, it sometimes does feel surreal, and it's also trippy because I watched some of the crazy shit go down, but then I forget that how can I put it? I'm watching some of this crazy shit going on, but then I'm also realizing that I'm part of the side that's giving motherfuckers like another option when they're just sick of, you know what I mean? I don't even want to say that. Like, it's just wild knowing that we're becoming more additions to options for people to select from,
preferred
recognized as it. I don't even want to say we're an alternative. We're just something there in the market, that we're just another item in the market at this point. And we're becoming a more recognizable item in the market. And it feels good seeing that. That's the best way I can word it.
So to clarify how I would sort of was thinking about that over here is, I'll just say the next generation or original.
Wow. Hot takes from the other.
And on that note, one thing before we do get out of here today, I do want to ask with building everything, and one important aspect of building a career is always branding and how you present yourself and what you are.
That's right.
Now, with that said, if you were given the opportunity to be able to create some kind of like your signature drink, what flavor is that going to be?
God, I hate you.
Oh shit, a drink? Fuck. God damn, you just hit me with something crazy. I'm a fucking health nut these days, but I love fucking green tea, so it would probably be some type of like infused fucking lemon green tea that's medicated. That would be my shit.
All right, there we go.
Coming to a store near you Donnie Menace, Arnold Palmer, medicated.
There you go.
All right.
Hey, Arnold Palmer's was my drink for a minute.
I'm gonna hit him with one more before we go. So,
right.
Where do you want to see this go? In we'll give it 5 years. COVID's. I'm not gonna say it's easing up. I'm just gonna say people are going to fucking shows more. Let's just say that.
People are just getting used to it.
So where do you see us moving in the next 5 years now that we've basically said we don't give a fuck about this no more? Because that's been such a hindrance for everybody.
All right, so I feel like the culture isn't going anywhere for sure. I feel that it definitely has potential to still continue to grow as long as everybody not even just as long as everybody still continues to do what they're doing and just keeps working, we should be straight. And I definitely feel like at least not even just the new generations, just everybody overall, household and all that, definitely should be looking into finding more ways to get more creative with more branding and just ways to bring more. We got to find ways to get more people into it, because that's my only worry than anything else is the fan base isn't getting younger. We need to get more younger cats in here, because a lot of us are still the same motherfuckers that just grew up on this shit, you know?
Yep.
That's the one thing we need to keep this alive, is we need to get more younger cats, like whether it's fans, musicians, whatever. We need more younger people in here.
That is definitely what the homie Rick Mole said a few episodes ago, and you can go check that one out. It's got a lot of hits. You really dig that.
Yeah, shout out to Rick. That's my dude.
Rick's the homie. I can't say enough good things about him. But before we let you go, where can they find you on social media to access your music, videos, everything? Where do they got to link up to?
All right, so it's just search Donnie Menace. Pretty much everything pops up. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. Fucking at Donnie Menace on Instagram, at Donnie Menace on Facebook, at Donnie Menace on TikTok. My only one that's not like that is my fan page, which I've been trying to get that actual fucking handle for years and he won't give it to me. So you got to search the real Donnie Menace on it. You can also look up my crew, Nightbreed, which everything should be tied into Nightbreed Official. I didn't just drop a video. All three of us actually dropped solo videos in the last few days. So we got everything blasted across my page. So
I definitely checked out a few of those. It's some badass shit. You should give them some plays.
Sir, thank you. But yeah, man, just look me up by name and you can find everything, man. It pops right up.
And we'll throw some links down in the description for you guys to check out there. Make sure that you subscribe and
like, share,
do all
comment, fucking comment.
Because we're not sure that you were here.
Shop.
Shop the Gore Hop Shop. Buy a fucking t-shirt. That should be everybody's catchphrase.
It's going to be warm again, and you're going to want a nice new t-shirt to wear out when you're going out in the sun,
or a dope ass hoodie for where it gets cold again.
Because that's going to happen. It'll be back.
All right, man.
Never copped the LSP shirt. Sorry, never copped the LSP merch. Our shirts are thick as fuck. They're made by this brand.
Shout out to the Gore Shop. Y'all got some dope ass merch.
And that's good information to have, because it sucks when you're like, I don't know, man. Is this shirt going to be like one of those thin shirts where like you can see through it and it's just going to fall apart?
Don't nobody want to be seeing my fat titties.
Yeah, shirt's thicker than a stripper in Atlanta. You already know.
All right, man. We had so much more we wanted to talk about. We will definitely have you back on whenever you want to come on. Do you have anything new coming in the future that they should know about? Just real quick before we go.
So of course my video Who/Ya just dropped on Friday. Sick. Single, everything on all digital retailers. My EP is in the process of getting wrapped up to get submitted. The name for it is Chainsaws and Boomsticks. And yes, it's exactly what you think it's in tribute to. So yes, I'm about to start getting the artwork done on that, and we are shooting for a spring release on that. And then my following album after that, Straight from the Under, should be dropping this summer. So I'm dropping 2 this year.
God damn, this man is going to be busy. Well, we thank y'all for sitting here and listening to this. And Donnie, we thank you for coming on here. And like I said, you were always fucking welcome on my show. Till next time and any other time, peace.
My show too, fucker. Peace.